You actively do that in your own restaurant now? Do you encourage your sort of senior staff to mentor new employees or younger staff too? Do you find that a part of that?
Yes, I do. I mean,
do you still have mentors yourself?
Yes, of course, and I mean a big chunk of our senior staff, they now have restaurants, you know, doing their own thing. And, you know, we're still together, and you know, they come and we support each other. Of course, it's a big part of it, and I will always do that when people have spent so much time and energy in the place. I forgot to mention that when we actually do these Saturday night things, it's after working a full week, you know, where people, they start early in the morning, finish late at night, and this is many hours, you know, 70, 80 hours a week, and this is one of the things that people are looking most forward to. The fact that they get to, you know, be creative and somehow develop. And we do sometimes stay until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, because if the discussion is there and people are into it, and we really, you know, onto something, onto an important message, then people are just staying and we're talking all night about these things, which is, for me, unique.
Let's talk about the book a little bit, because that sort of takes that to the subheading of the book, time and place. I think most people understand the place aspect of where the Nordic and that supply chain and the nature. The time part, though. Can you explain how that fits into your philosophy, like the time, the things people sort of grasp with that aspect of time?
Yeah. So, time and place. When Norma really started to take off, it was when this idea of time and place came completely forward. And what is time and place? Well, for us it is, our biggest job is to show that when you guys eat there, when you eat there, that in fact you leave there having a sense of place, first of all. Experiencing where in the world are you. That's so important and really, really difficult. And time, of course, is that you are there, present at the moment, and also experiencing exactly what that moment gives you of ingredients. You know, you're a part of that. You're part of the weather, and you're part of what is there in nature, right? That's time.
What do you find challenging about doing the Nordic cuisine ingredients? I mean, how do you find? I mean, do you ever wish that one day you could use lemons? I mean, do you ever wish that? Are you? I mean, it is a struggle. I mean, we all have certain flavors we love, and you probably grew up with them too. But
yeah,
you know, to commit to that in such a way. I mean, how do you find the cold months? Because that is a challenge, certainly with a lot of Toronto. I mean, we're a southern part of Canada, but certainly lots of Canada in cold climate. Yeah. The challenge of that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have a chef from Edmonton, and there you have a problem.
John,
I can see. Yeah. that is extremely cold there. But I mean, it is a learning curve from when you start. You have an idea of what cuisine is and what you need to have available to cook with, and you know, in the beginning you feel as if something is missing, like you can't cook. You know, you can't cook without olive oil. You can't cook without foie gras, even, you know, or you know, caviar, because that's what you serve. That's what you used to. That's what you always cook with it. There was always a foie gras de chamois in the menu. You know, it's like, that's the easy one. The foie gras, what fruit do we have available? Okay, good. Foie gras fruit, and we'll put a little spice on there. The menu feels luxurious. But you just start forgetting about it, and it doesn't become a problem anymore. You just start really just cooking with what you have, and that becomes such a natural thing that I never feel I miss anything. Not anymore. Was
it challenging in the beginning?
Of course, it was very challenging. Very, 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 very challenging.
And do you eat like this at home as well? I mean, do you?
Well, I grew up from a Muslim father, from ex-Yugoslavia, and a Danish mother, and I'm married to a Jewish girl. So, I mean, wow. We have a few pickles from there, and a few, you know, things from Macedonia. So no, as such, I'm not a purist in that sense, and I don't think people should be. And I don't think that all restaurants should be like this. course not. I think that it's great that I can be in, that we have Thai immigrants in Denmark that are cooking Thai food. I think it's so great that some of my own Macedonian people are there and doing Macedonian food. But why should there be a Scandinavian food or Scandinavian cuisine as well in Scandinavia?
How did it go over when you opened it with the Danish, with Copenhagen dining population and Denmark? I mean, did they embrace it immediately, or was it a huge learning curve for them as well?
Well, that was a big problem. You know, I don't know if you've heard the term. It's called small country syndrome. Maybe you have it in Canada too, even though you're such a big landmass.
We're next to a big country.
Yeah, you're next to them. And it's good to make fun of Americans. People like it. You know, in Denmark, well, we are of course much smaller, and you know, we can make fun of the Swedes and the Norwegians, but it's not quite the same as America. We make fun of them too. So in the beginning, it was a problem. It was something that people thought couldn't exist, and they made fun of it. And they thought that we were going to cook with the whale and seal and reindeer, you know, and that was it. There was no more. Other than that, it would be roots and a few onions. That was what our country had to cook with, more or less. And I think that something that's also interesting here is that, in fact, I have a different background. That I grew up partially in Macedonia until the war broke out, fully broke out in '92. I used to spend 2 to 6 months a year there, and I think ultimately that made me, you know, perhaps look at these ingredients and ways of cooking that 100% native thought as being old-fashioned or something that didn't belong into high gastronomy, because this was what my grandmother cooked, you know. And of course you can use flatbread in a fine dining context, even though when it was made with the durum wheat and called something in Italian, you know, everybody loved it. But when it was made from a local flour and called flatbread, it was not the same, even though it is. And we went through that for a long time. People would just, you know, forget about these, leave them alone, they're stupid or they're crazy. And then what happened is that we, of course, started being recognized from abroad. We had a French critic come to us after, well, he was there after 4 months, quite intrigued. He said, "I'm here in Denmark, and the last thing I expected to get in Denmark of food was something Danish or something Scandinavian." And he was so surprised by it and so taken by it that he started immediately, you know, working it for us somehow, writing about it, and he thought it was already back then delicious. And then after a few years, we got a Michelin star, and you know, critics start coming out from around Europe, writing about us. We entered this list of the world's best restaurant, and that was number 33. And from then on, things started changing completely. Completely. You know,
how did it change? What did you notice?
Well, I mean, it went from. I've quoted Schopenhauer quite a lot here, because he says that a truth goes through 3 stages. And he lived a long time ago, of course, but it's as if he written this for no one. It goes through ridicule, and then it's opposed to, as if it doesn't exist. We try that. And now it's seen as self-evident. You know, everybody says, of course this had to happen, and of course, you know, this is what he did write into truth. A truth is that it also goes through a 4th stage, which is jealousy.